Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday to you on this August 1st, 2025. I have all your stories for your rush hour ride to work. We're going to have a little conversation about Blake Lively and her deposition that happened yesterday. It's a big deal when an A-list star gets deposed by essentially one of the greatest lawyers in the entertainment world, not to pimp for Brian Friedman, but oh boy, I wonder if people will talk about what happened in that room. We'll get into that, plus Jax closed the bar. Not the bar itself didn't close that he had his name attached to, but the sign from the bar came down. It is no longer Jax. So we'll get into that. And then I've got a little bit, I have a connection to Blake Lively. I didn't know that I had, so I'll discuss that. And then more on the Epstein cover-up, as Trump made new comments that are making people scratch their head. And then more on the $200 million ballroom that they're going to be building at the Trump Palace, at the White House. So all these stories and more starts right now on The Rush. How about this? Paris Jackson says her engagement's off. Paris Jackson, the daughter of Michael Jackson. Although I think there was a discrepancy as to whether it was biological. I don't really care. I'm not trying to get into any lawsuits. Who knows? Either way, Paris, I guess, told her ex-fiance to beat it. All right, moving on from that pun. Let's go to the good stuff. Here's Jax Taylor, and he's giving an update about his thoughts watching The Valley and why he decided to leave the show.
Take obviously full responsibility and accountability. I watch back, I watch the episodes back, and I watch the reunion. It's horrendous the way I acted. It's just, I couldn't even watch it. It's how bad it was for me. So
the only thing worse than The Valley is this audio. It's terrible. Now they're filming it in front of the bar where Jax, I guess, was a business partner. He's decided to pull out of the bar, so they're taking the sign down. And, he offers his remorse. Listen, I'm the first to tell you, I want a redemption for every villain on every show. I want them to overcome their demons and all of that. He's going to take a season off from The Valley. Will he make a comeback? Yet to be seen. All the comments are littered with people saying, oh, he says this every season. He's the worst, X, Y, and Z. Well, maybe that's because he's an addict. So again, can you prove the haters wrong, Jax? It's really up to you. Speaking of proving the haters wrong, how about this? YouTuber accuses Blake Lively of intimidation tactics, pleads for protective order amid Justin Baldoni case. Who could that YouTuber be? Well, it's our kid's sister, Lauren Knighty. Lauren Knighty, content creator with the username LethalLauren904, slammed the recent subpoenas that Lively and her legal team fired off to Google and Twitter in an attempt to gain information. Now, we already knew that Lauren was one of the few, well, I should say more than few, targeted. Blake reached out to find information on over 100, I think 107 total. We have to be on that list. Not to say I feel left out, but it's an absolute insane story. So what's interesting, though, is the celebrity news is picking up this angle of the story. Everything that happens in the courtroom, it's all going to come down to what the jury decides, right? But everything that happens in the pretrial process, it's all PR. So just having titles like this out there, because most people don't read past the titles, is not a good look for Blake Lively. So the question is, was the juice worth the squeeze? Was it worth it for Blake to come after all these content creators? I mean, imagine, that's like you just made 100 new enemies. Now, to be quite honest, I try to play this as neutral as possible because I do believe that everybody's trying the best with the information they have. And I know you're thinking, Dave, what are you talking about? She's an evil person. Maybe, but maybe she's just a product of the environment she came up in. When you become a celebrity at such a young age, you're enabled by everybody. It's the same reason I think of Jax Taylor as someone who's both an abuser and a victim. Same with, which I said, Jax Taylor, Tom Sandoval, all of them. They're all complicit in this sort of like, whether it's a reality TV star or celebrity, they all basically are enabled to be the worst versions of themselves because of the commodity that they offer. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying that's the curse that they're left to deal with. And do I think Blake Lively will change? Absolutely not. I don't think she's going to change. I mean, maybe as she grows older, I hate to say this, I don't mean to make this sexist because I think it's the same way for men too, but as she grows older and loses her metaphorical fastball, her looks and the prestige you get for being an actor in your 20s and 30s, as that, it's like, will she morph into will she transcend into a more enlightened version of herself? The hell do I know? You know what I mean? But I did want to share something interesting with you. No, I'll tell you what, let's start talking about the deposition first. Did I get any information about what went down in the deposition room? The short answer is yes. Now, if you know me from the Laura Owens case with Clayton Echard, yes, sometimes I tease things, but very often I know what the hell I'm talking about. And I wouldn't tease this if I didn't have more to say. I just can't. I'm too close to the sources and I'm not saying I was fed information, like calling the window guy who's like, squeegeeing the windows, looking into the room, knowing the janitor, looking through the trash or whatever. And it was, I'm sure a very tight set, as it were. There's only several people allowed in the rooms, but all I can say is this. I worked in Los Angeles and in Hollywood for well over a decade, and you just meet a lot of people. I was at the Hollywood Improv at a stand-up comedy event several months ago, and a guy came up to me and said he was very good friends with some people that are involved. We'll keep it short. And he was very grateful for all of the people that have rallied together to support Justin Baldoni. Well, I can confirm, after talking to the parties that I talked to yesterday, that they're very happy that the truth is coming out. They're very happy that Baldoni Camp is, that they're going to be able to finally expose what they believe to be. And I'm not speaking for anybody, but I'm assuming believed to be someone named Blake Lively, who's absolutely on the wrong side of this story. And it's much easier to hide behind court documents. It's much easier to hide behind your lawyers and their sort of thesaurus.com versions of how they respond back and forth, legally speaking. But when you got to get onto the playing field, when you have to be in front of the camera and receive 7 hours worth of questioning, it's going to be hard to lie. It's going to be hard to get your story right if there are any inaccuracies. And I have to imagine that was partially the point of Justin Baldoni being in the room, to say, are you going to lie to my face about what happened? And he'll know exactly if there's moments where she's misremembering things. Boy, would I love to have a copy of that deposition. Well, here's my Blake Lively connection. You want this? Now, I've worked on Gossip Girl, and I think that's the only project I've worked with her. I was background or stand-in work, not a big deal. But how about this? I found this out just like an hour ago. Blake Lively dated Kelly Blatz. Now, why would you know Kelly Blatz? He's not necessarily a big name, but they dated at the same time that I was doing stunts for Kelly Blatz. Look at that. Dave Neal, stunt. And did you guys know I did stunts? That's right. Neither did I, but here is a photo to prove it. This is from Marcus Nispel. We're going on a tangent here. The set of Exeter a decade ago. Now, this is me. Now, it'll be credited as Kelly Blatz, but I assure you, after the bruising I took, this is me in an exorcism scene. I had a lot of dust and glass and even, I think, a lawnmower thrown at me. I mean, they were literally throwing the kitchen sink at me during this scene. But what went down was I ended up talking my way into a stunt scene on a horror film that I was already body doubling in. Now, a body double is different than a stunt double. A body double is just there for a non-stunt scene to play somebody else if they don't have the actor on set and they just need a hand or a shoulder or whatever. But I then became a stunt double after watching a few stunts play out. There was a stunt coordinator on set. Now, I had just moved back from Los Angeles, again, 10 years ago. I was broke as hell. I needed money. And there was this project shooting in my home state of Rhode Island, this horror film, actually not just shooting in my home state, but it was shooting at an actual abandoned insane asylum, one you're not allowed to go to. And they decided to dress it all up with like devil insignia. And it was a scary, I mean, it was spooky as hell. So I see the stunt coordinator and I see people doing stunts, like, in an exorcism movie, there's a bowling ball that falls out of nowhere and the guy has to jump out of the way. And I was like, I can do stunts. I can do that. And so I told the stunt guy, I was like, I could do stunts. Now, had I ever done a stunt before? Never. You can't. I've never been near a stunt in my life. But I told the guy I could do it. And he was like, yeah, cool, whatever. And then a week later, I remember it like it happened yesterday. The assistant director comes up to me. I had longer hair, and they said, "Would you mind cutting your hair?" And I was like, "Well, for what? What are you talking about here? Not for locks of love. I mean, not till it's at the right level." But they said, "If you cut your hair, we could have you be a stunt double for Kelly Blatz." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So this is me in the hair they cut. That's Brittany Coran. She starred in the movie. And then here's me with a pickaxe going through my stomach. You can't really see it there. Drinking Dell's lemonade just to prove that this did happen in Rhode Island. We're getting really specific right now. This is in front of the actual abandoned insane asylum. I mean, what a place to film. So anyway, I said, yeah, I can do stunts. No big deal. Whatever. Let's do some stunts, Got some bowling balls you want to throw at me? No big deal. Well, as it turns out, the stunt that I ended up doing involved a full day of preparation and a full day of shooting. And it was a stunt that was the end of the movie stunt choreography scene. Now, don't take my word for it. If you want to see this movie, I just found out it's streaming on Prime. I've actually never seen this movie in its entirety. But what's interesting about this movie, when my wife, that's the guy I stood in for right there. When my wife and I were just friends, I was in the friend zone, I actually invited her to the screening of this. I was like, yeah, I did stunts in this movie, whatever. She was like, yeah, I'll come, whatever, total just, this is literally 3 months before we started dating. And she didn't realize it was a horror film, which she's completely scared of. But I won't tell you how it goes, but let me know if you check it out. Now, you're not gonna notice me in the movie because that's how stunts work. You're always, falling and putting your arm over your head or whatever, But I'm there. I got the bruises to prove it. They paid us a few extra bucks for the hardest part of the stunt was we had hip pads on, but because of what we had to wear, we had a back pad on, like you put this little back brace on, but we couldn't have elbow or knee pads because of the shot. And let me just tell you, it hurts. These stuntmen, they're taking real falls. It hurt a lot to just basically be doing the high jump and landing on cement. But I digress. We did it. There is your update. That's just a little Friday bullshit for you. Figured I'd tell you a little bit about my stunt day. And if you're listening on the audio-only podcast, you're like, what the hell is he talking about? Go check out the photos I just shared on YouTube. But my stunt days are over, although I still have the glasses right there. So can you even tell that's me? Boy, I got to lose a couple pounds. I was a skinny kid back in the day. And by the way, the only reason I took that film to do background work on was because like I said, I was broke as hell. I needed the money. I just got dumped. I was sad. And I didn't know what the hell was going on with my life. So just to tell you, you got to keep your eyes and ears open for opportunity. You never know the path life will take you on, but sometimes it leads to a fun story. All right, well, from stunts, and by the way, what hurts more, doing a stunt in a movie or reading negative comments on YouTube? I'm not sure, to be quite honest. Well, I'll tell you what right now. Now, am I filibustering? No, we're just having fun. But these are the times that we're in right now where a bombshell might come around the corner. A Friday afternoon, early August, people are getting ready to go back to school. They're at Staples buying Trapper Keepers or whatever the hell the kids have these days. Remember that? You ever try to open a Trapper Keeper without waking somebody up? It's all like, anyway, I'm telling you right now, I'm calling it. There's going to be some drama that comes out this afternoon. Now, if you want some weekend content, I have taken a vow to read the entire Candace Owens defamation suit. It is 200 plus pages. I'm going to do it Saturday afternoon or evening. Check for details. Probably 8 or 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, whenever my wife wants to go to bed with the baby. And we're going to get into it. So if you want to be a part of that marathon live stream, that'll be tomorrow night. Otherwise, what we have coming for you the rest of this episode is a little political talk, as we've got a $200 million ballroom opening up in the White House. Boy, talk about priorities, right? Because are they going to host an episode of Dancing with the Stars there? We've got that, and then we have an update on the Epstein cover-up, and that'll all be happening right after this.